Thank you for joining us today. Welcome to the April 3rd regular meeting of Council. The City of Parksville recognizes the people of the Coast Salish Nations and their traditional territory upon which we gather with gratitude. We have the consent agenda up first. Minutes of the council meeting held March 18th, 2024, and the approval of the council meeting agenda. Do I have a mover seconder for the recommendations? Moved by Councillor Gore, seconded by Councillor Wood. Any errors or omissions? Further discussion? All those in favor? Here's unanimous. Thank you. Delegations. We have one delegation today. We have the Parksville Downtown Business Association regarding Memorial Plaza lighting and seasonal lighting. A presentation by Teresa Cooper, Executive Director, and Tammy Frankford, President of the PDBA, to present a proposal for replacement of year-round canopy lighting in Memorial Plaza, replacement of seasonal lights on Alberni Highway, and placement of a 28-foot pre-lit tree for the Christmas season in Memorial Plaza. Looking forward to that. We can't be too prepared. The Christmas is just around the corner. Good for you. Thank you. Welcome. It's made that way.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you, Mayor and Council, for providing us this opportunity to show you our presentation today on what we have to show for downtown Parksville. So we are pleased to share with you, three exciting lighting initiatives to create vibrant and welcoming to the downtown Parksville. One on Alberni Highway and two in Memorial Plaza. It is our belief that these three projects will contribute greatly to the overall beautification of the downtown area. Next slide. Our first project is to create a strong sense of place for Alberni Highway by changing the direction of the existing lights from vertical to horizontal, as well as we intend to add twice as many strings of lights. So as you'll see here, this is what they look like existing. In consultation with the City of Operations team, we have discovered that it would be possible to leave these lights on all year. Right, there we go. So the benefits: horizontal lighting provides a more visually appealing and modern look, while a more robust appearance. This will be achieved with the additional of more lights. So going from 5 strings down to wrapping them around and then going 10 to 12 lights. So keeping the lights on all year will contribute to a lively and inviting atmosphere, promoting the downtown as a destination for residents and visitors alike. Rather than incurring costs to maintain the lights twice a year, so putting them up and taking them down, this option would only require maintenance once a year. So that would be resulting in a savings to the city. So we kindly request that the city add the additional extra lights to the existing configuration. It was already budgeted for them to come down, so it would just be for basically changing the configuration and adding more. So the cost should be minimal, if any, to the city. Next slide. Thank you. So that's it for the first project. Second one is actually quite exciting, and it's in enhancing the vibrancy of Memorial Plaza. So with the opening of Memorial Plaza in 2022, the community gained a central gathering spot and focus for its downtown core. Shortly after the opening, a canopy of lights was strung on a wire grid at the entrance of Memorial Plaza. You can see in the lighted photo, oh, where did we go? Okay, there we go, yeah. You can see in the highlighted in the photo, this canopy provides a limited display of lights and lacks the dynamic capabilities to create an engaging lighting display that new technology can provide. By replacing the existing canopy with a programmable light and sound system in Memorial Plaza, we can transform this into a captivating space that would truly be a welcoming gathering spot for our community. Next slide. The ability to program the lights and the music will allow us to create a dynamic display that can be tailored to changing seasons, holidays, and special events, fostering a sense of community and celebration. The new canopy will be lit year-round, enhancing the ambiance of Memorial Plaza. Attracting more visitors to the downtown core will boost foot traffic to local businesses and contribute to the economic viability of Parksville. The new lighting addition will seamlessly act as an anchor for any future downtown lighting plan, example 2025. Can you go back for a sec? So you'll see that we've kind of just tried to put this in here. It's on the existing grid. And that's not exactly how to look. It'll drape down, so it will be quite a bit higher. All right, next slide. Parksville Downtown is taking a proactive role in community enhancement with a commitment of $30,000 for the purchase and the installation of the new canopy. Okay. Although not a year-round concept, that is correct. Although not a year-round concept, our third project is most exciting. For many years, Parksville Downtown has been investing in the metal fabricated trees. They sit on top of several of our members' businesses during the holidays. These trees have stood up strong against the winter elements and have brought much joy to the community. Parksville Downtown has tried for many times to fulfill the community's desire for a downtown Christmas tree light up. Unfortunately, finding a safe and accessible site, along with the concerns about potential damage from the lights on the trees, has posed challenges in finding the ideal location. However, with the recent opening of Memorial Plaza, we believe we have found the perfect venue for the community tree. The installation of a Christmas tree in Memorial Plaza will serve as a focal point for community gatherings and holiday festivities. It will create opportunities for residents to come together, fostering a sense of belonging and community spirit. Memorial Plaza offers a central and easy accessible location. Hosting holiday events by choosing this site, we ensure that the festivities are safe, inclusive, enjoyable for all members of our community, regardless of any mobility challenges. The style of these metal fabricated trees, as you'll see on the picture, are long-lasting and durable. They're reducing the need of frequent replacements, which minimizes the environmental impact. Parksville Downtown, we've already purchased a new tree, 25 feet, and we are committed to covering the expenses associated with the installation contractor. Cost to the city will be minimal, limited to a consultation with city operations team and perhaps the movement of some heavy planters. So we've already met on site with operations, and they actually chose where would be the ideal spot and how to secure it. Our goal throughout the planning of these initiatives have been to find solutions that enhance the overall vibrancy of the downtown core of Parksville, fit seamlessly into any future lighting plans, and minimize the cost to the city. For Parksville Downtown to move forward with these three initiatives, we kindly request the following. that the city of Parksville agrees to fund the installation of the additional lights, which they were already going to come down, so just to reconfigure them. 2, that the city of Parksville agrees to support the request of the Parksville downtown to replace the existing grid of the canopy of lights in Memorial Plaza with a programmable light and music system funded by Parksville downtown. And 3, that the city of Parksville agrees to support the request for us to install seasonally 25-foot Christmas tree in Memorial Plaza. Thank you. So we are committed to funding these 3 exciting lighting projects that will bring great vibrancy and a welcoming ambiance to Parksville downtown. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Tammy, for your presentation. Well done. I am very pleased with the participation of the Parksville Downtown Business Association to add to one of the strategic plans of the City of Parksville Council has put in place for the vibrancy of downtown. And you are addressing one of these issues, which will dovetail nicely with the new lighting program that will come up from the vibrancy plan as well. So this is jumping ahead and actually giving us good initiative to get on with it, because you're certainly taking the lead on this, which I'm most appreciative for. Your requests seem very reasonable, and you've done a lot of the work yourself, and as well as meeting with our proper operations staff anyways to customize it to the exact locations you're looking for, which is very important for all the considerations thereof. Your contribution as well of the lights, the Christmas tree and so forth is very much appreciated as well. We understand that you are funding that, and it's basically a responsibility for the city to coordinate with operations the installation of all of these 3 initiatives that you proposed at this time. And I believe that that is reasonable, and once again, most appreciative. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to go to council for questions while you're here. Councillor Martin first, and then Councillor Corr.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Tammy and your team for getting this together in good time. So there's, not a push at last minute, so we can plan for this, and it's going to be wonderful for our city. When I was, running around trying to get elected here, people said, "Where's the city center? Where's the city center?" And I said, well, I wasn't involved in Memorial because I wasn't on council, but I knew there was a plan. And Memorial is a significant street historically. And I think anything we can do there to bring this together is going to make a difference. So I support this 100% and appreciate all the effort.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor Gore.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Tammy, for the presentation and the little heads up that you gave me a couple of weeks ago. So it looks very exciting. I'm quite pleased that PDBA is kind of helping our strategic goal, like the mayor mentioned, of increasing the vibrancy in our downtown core, kind of drawing people down to the core, even if it's in the evening to just stroll around and walk around with kids and whatnot. If I were to support your request, one thing that comes to my mind is when you said the cost is minimal to the city. I want to clarify, since it will be year-long lighting, the hydro bill, the city will be paying, correct? And secondly, when the lights are going to stay on, they will require some maintenance, whether it's burnout or due to inclement weather conditions. Some might come off or need replacing and whatnot. So would that be PDBA, or would that be the responsibility of the city to take on that maintenance part?
Okay. Through to Mayor to Council Gurr. So for the hydro, that is correct. So on the Alberni Highway, right now they're on for 4 months. So it would be an additional 8 months. The lights are LEDs, so I think the cost would be very minimal on the hydro. For Memorial Plaza, There's currently lighting up there already that is on all year. This is newer technology and more energy efficient lighting. So there actually would probably be a cost savings on the hydro. But again, I wouldn't think that the hydro would be very expensive. As for maintenance, that would be the city on the lights on Memorial Plaza, I would think, and I'll have to confirm that they would have some kind of warranty time. So on those lights, the ones for Alberni Highway, that would be the city as it currently is. We supply the lights and then the city takes responsibility of them.
Go ahead, follow up.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, yes, for the clarification, because I guess it's two things for the city is also the in-kind support, like the staff time from the ops. And we always know our ops being the busiest departments. And with the staffing issues that we are facing, I would love to hear from, I don't know if this is the appropriate time to know from our CAO if we have the capacity to support this. I would love to support this. But I think going forward, we need to be cognizant of what the staff can take on. And also, if my recollection is correct, we're thinking of putting aside $100,000 for this annually out of property taxes. And if the CEO thinks that it's an appropriate number at this time, or can that be revised looking at in the future? So I don't know if this is the right time to ask those questions to our CAO.
I would suggest that those questions regarding the operations and the capacity of staff and so forth, a donation of this type of the lights and so forth, then would obviously move over to our asset management program. So this would become an asset for the city of Parksville to be managed under our asset management program, which would involve some operations assistance throughout the year. The questions further, I believe, would be better had if and when this comes up for discussion from a motion anyways, so forth. That's when I think it would be more important to get down to the nuts and bolts as far as the staff capacity at that time, directed to our CAO. The delegation is merely to present it, not to actually work out the technicalities of how we're going to make it happen. That's for us to decide, and if it's appropriate. I'm not sure, and I have a question though, the 100,000 figure, was that just the figure that you pulled out, or did you see that somewhere? I'm not sure what.
I think it was during our budget deliberations that this was being proposed as a work plan that I think in our sheet, it was mentioned about $100,000 ongoing property taxes as the source for this project is my recollection. Correct?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's we'll discuss that. At deliberation time. Yeah, that's great. Councillor Beal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Tammy, for coming here with this. And I did appreciate the opportunity to have met with you prior so that you could explain a little bit more. But I wonder if you could speak to the Alberni Highway project for the lights there. Those lights that are there right now, as we mentioned, are very, very bright white. And I'm just wondering if whether or not that fits in with a larger plan for lighting in the downtown area. Is it possible that those lights could come down eventually and something different could be put there, perhaps a softer, warm light that might be more appropriate for other seasons of the year? Can you just speak a little bit about the plans there?
Yep. Mr. Mayor, through to Councillor Beal. Yes, most definitely. So right now they are pure white. Ideally, we wanted to go warm white. We did find out with meeting of operations, the background on why pure white was originally chosen. And it was to do with, and I'm not a lighting specialist, so it was to do with the contrast of street lights and other lights. So right now, with only 5 strings hanging straight down, that really is blurs right in you. I think it's will be more eye appealing and not so in your face when it's wrapped around and more. But ideally, when we come to the 2025 lighting plan, that's where we're really not having to invest a whole pile of money because we have a large inventory of the current lights sitting at operations. So they right now are doing a count for us to find out how many additional lights we need to buy. It's maybe 25% more to finish it off. That way, then come 2025 and it's like, nope, we don't want these. It's not a big deal. We haven't invested a pile of money that we can move those lights elsewhere, right? And we did look at doing programmable lights and having them Christmas and then different colors. But from the lighting company and from operations, they will not sustain and last, which is why. So this is something that really isn't going to cost the city any money and us minimal to be able to do something until we get to 2025, and then we do the lighting plan.
Follow up, Councillor Bill.
Thank you for explaining that, that flow.
Not a
Plan.
problem.
No, that's great. I also had a question about the tree. So I understand you've already purchased the tree. So it's being, so I'm just curious about needs for storage. What's the anticipation there? And how long, what sort of duration of time would you expect this tree to be set up if it goes ahead?
Through Mayor, through to Councillor Beal. So yeah, we have the tree. So we always contract, just one sec. Yeah. So we contract the same person to put up the trees on all the businesses on the roofs. And when we ordered it, he stores it. It's all delivered to his place. And then he does all of the installation. So November is usually when we set up after Remembrance Day, I believe, is normally when Christmas stuff starts. So that's when it would be, and it would come down in January when, yeah. You're welcome.
Any further questions, Council? Councillor Wood.
Thanks, Mayor. Through yourself to our delegation. I want to say a big thank you to Tammy and Teresa for all your work on this. I think there's a lot of vision here. The current color of the lights is getting into the weeds for me, but there's definitely a lot of contrast. I think we really knocked the contrast out of the park here with the current color. If we get a warmer white, I think that's probably a more welcoming color down the road a little bit. I don't know where or staff time or any of the city support will come. That'll be a different discussion. But for now, I just wanted to say thank you to you both for bringing this forward. I think it's a great vision for our downtown. Thanks.
Thank you. Can I comment?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Through Mayor to Councillor Wood. So in meeting with operations, so for Alberni Highway, currently it is contracted to Raylec, I think is the name of the company. So they would have last month normally taken down the lights. Was postponed, right, till we could figure this out. So that already is kind of in the plan. They had to take them down. Now they're just going to add more on. For Memorial Plaza, for the canopy lighting, in meeting with operations, I had said to them about staff time and installation. They said they would not be the one to do it. They would contract it out, so they would prefer that we did. So we would deal with the contractor. So it's basically moving a planter. And this was from in meetings with them at Memorial Plaza. For the Christmas tree, same thing. It is because they picked the optimal spot. And again, it would be moving the planter. So that's where it would be minimal. And this is coming from operations, from my understanding. You're welcome.
Councillor Grants.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you to the delegation. Thank you for coming today. I'm very pleased that we can always count on the PDBA to bring forward some bright ideas. Hashtag dad joke. My question pertains to the Memorial Plaza, and as we look to continue to build the vibrancy of the downtown, especially around Memorial Plaza, can you maybe speak a little bit to your efforts to work with the business owners and people leasing those buildings around Memorial Plaza, not just about this project, but also maybe looking forward in shaping that area? Because at the city, we can only do so much. We're counting on,
Mhm.
you know, your partnerships there as the Downtown Business Association, that your members are kind of working together. I noticed, for example, there's an empty spot there now, right? So to make sure that we're building towards a vision with the development around that area as well. Can you maybe speak to that a bit?
Mayor through to Councillor Greers. Gretz, see, I knew I was going to mess that one up. Yes, so we talk quite a bit with the Masons, which that's the main building right there, as well as on the other side, Forward House, I think it is. There. So all the events and so forth that we're doing in Memorial Plaza are all in speaking with a lot of the businesses that are located there. So I know a lot of people might say, okay, well, lights, how about if, I don't know, somebody puts the empty lot that's right there, they put apartments up above. It can be shut off. Right. So we're working with a lot of the businesses all in there to try to create events and do things all in Memorial Plaza to, again, bring the community together. Does that answer your question?
So yeah, in part, the other part of the question is, as we look to the future for there, I understand the Masons, for example, are considering future options for their building.
Yeah.
There is that empty lot there. So maybe it's not a question, but more of a statement is I hope that you're working with those owners and people occupying those buildings to bring them all on side and forward with a vision for that area of downtown.
Mayor through to Councillor Gris. Yes, 100%. We've actually, I'm aware of the Masons and what their plan is and what some plans are for that empty lot. That's all I can say.
Are you good with that? Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Just a couple comments, regarding the Kelvin rating, the brightness of the lights on Memorial. It just made sense at this particular time to stick with the bright white because we actually have purchased. It's just more economics at this point. Yes, well, I think we all appreciate the fact that the amber light, the warmer white is a little gentler, but it was in actual consultation with the operations staff as well to do with the LED street lighting we have, which is not of the amber tone, as you know. And so they were looking for not a contrast to that, but actually to enhance the lighting on the street because it's all about safety traveling down the Alberni Highway. That was the one comment. And so it just makes sense for this. And so it'll be a few years before but it'll give us a chance to actually see what this looks like and see how it works out and gives us a chance to use what we have. And as Tammy's mentioned, with only an additional purchase of perhaps 25% more of what we already have. So it's just better utilization of the funds already put forward by the PDBA. The other question I had for Tammy regarding the Christmas tree, I'm very pleased with that centralized location for it. Is this in place of the rooftop trees or is this in addition to the rooftop trees?
Through to Mayor. They would be the rooftops. We are going to leave where they are for right now because we want to test the waters and it's, easier for one tree and it'll be off onto the side. So it's right by power and not in any way. And we'll leave all those ones up. And then when we come to the 2025 kind of plan and we can work everything all together then.
Reevaluate at that time.
Exactly.
That's great. It's going to make for a very festive downtown for this season with lots of advanced planning in play here. I appreciate that. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What do we do now? Is there a motion we have to do? Well, how does that work? When will that happen?
I hadn't seen one so far in the correspondence. I don't think we have a motion up here, but we can do a notice of motion at the end of this meeting.
Okay.
I think would be the appropriate thing to do.
Okay,
And now that we have all the information presented here,
Okay.
we encourage the PDBA to come nice and early, in which they have done at this time. And I think we do a notice of motion anyways to make this happen.
Okay.
And we can let the PDBA know of that decision as quickly as we can.
thank you. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, that'd be appropriate. Yeah, thanks.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you so much. Any other questions at this point? Okay, thank you so much, Tammy,
Thank you.
Teresa, for attending and all your work. I know that there's been a huge collaborative effort here by yourself. So thank you once again. Thanks, council. We have one piece of correspondence today from the Regional District of Nanaimo regarding the separate waste container requirement service establishment bylaw number 1908 of 2024. Do I have a mover and a seconder for the recommendations as noted? Moved by Councillor Beal, seconded by Councillor Wood. Any discussion? Councillor Beal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to say that I'm pleased to see this coming forward, as it's nice to see for those who don't, who in the audience who might not know what this is about, but it is an expansion of the separating of materials that would otherwise go into landfill so that we can reduce the amount of landfill in the whole area. So this would include then multifamily dwellings and institutions. So it's just a first step at this point in time. It has to go through various approvals before it would start to be implemented, but it's nice to see this taking shape.
Thanks for that, Councillor Beal. It is a very progressive step. Yeah, and I appreciate the RDN effort on this. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I noticed the cost that was estimated, how that works, and it seems it goes up gradually, but it's double by the 2028. Is that sort of because of what things cost, inflation, or is there more things being provided along the way, or? That's on page 13 of the agenda.
Yes, that's just included in the RDN 5-year plan is what they have. They work on a cost recovery plan
Okay,
for all of their solid waste efforts. And it would be a 5-year plan. So they do a projection anyways of what it's going to look like for the
Mhm.
next 5 years. Is that what you're referring to?
yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I can't comment on exactly what the cost increases are, whether there's an inflationary factor they put in or just more participation perhaps at that point.
Now, what is our percentage that we pay? Because we share, right?
It's a shared basis based on our pickups that we have from the RDN, the service establishment bylaw that says that we pay for the following off the top of my head.
Okay,
It's
it's a percentage.
yeah, it's you know, the pickups that we already have for
Yeah.
the solid waste recovery is how we have right now in the recycling. So
Right.
times that many residents. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It's on your RDN tax bill, I can guarantee you. They don't forget. Any other comments? I'd like to ask all those in favor. Thank you. That carries unanimous. Thank you. We have the first report is from the fire chief regarding the automatic response agreement renewal. Chief Norris to explain to renew the automatic response agreement with the fire department with District 69 Oceanside, including the town of Qualicum and the district, or to make the mayor happy, I would say, including the town of Qualicum Beach and the regional district of Nanaimo RDN fire departments. Chief Norris, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Happy to introduce the renewal of the automatic response agreement. The agreement has been in place since 2008. This will be the 4th renewal. And in this particular point, we are adding one partner into the agreement, which is the Deep Bay Fire Department. Other than that, there was some housekeeping amendments in it, nothing too major. And we think the agreement is working well. And the recommendations are as per the agenda.
Thank you, Chief Norris. After reviewing it, I couldn't find anything different that, going forward, anything other than a couple of housekeeping issues. You obviously are satisfied with the agreement as such and are not proposing any major changes. Is that correct?
That is correct. At this time, I don't propose any major changes. We will be monitoring the agreement as we do with all of our agreements to ensure that we don't encounter any problems with it. But currently what the agreement affords us is the ability to bring in the resources that we need should we have a major incident, for instance, Heritage Mall or a large hazmat incident, or say an apartment building that doesn't have sprinklers in it, where we could have significant issues, and to ensure that we have the right resources for the job at the time.
And so as I understand, with the addition of Deep Bay as part of that service area.
Yeah, so the way the agreement works is we wouldn't call on Deep Bay for automatic response, and we wouldn't go to Deep Bay for automatic response. The signatories to the agreement really just allows us to operate under one agreement as opposed to, we have an agreement with Arrington and one with the News and 6 different agreements. Generally speaking, what happens with automatic aid is it's an extension of mutual aid. And really what happens is the resource is dispatched automatically as opposed to us having to request it. So automatic aid usually comes from our immediate neighboring fire departments. So in our case, Nanaimo, Arrington, and Qualcomm Beach.
Thank you for that explanation. That is helpful. Council Martin, did you have your hand? Oh, okay. Okay, I just saw your hand. Okay. Any other questions for Chief Norris at this time from council or comments? Seeing none. Chief Norris, thank you for your presentation. Do I have a mover and seconder for the recommendation as noted? Moved by Councillor Wood, seconded by Councillor Martin. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you, Chief Norris. Council, the next report on the agenda is consideration of the city participating in the Regional District of Nanaimo's Coastal Preparedness Regional Planning Project. To consider staff resources in support of a Regional District of Nanaimo Coastal Preparedness Planning Project. And with us today, we have Mr. Blaine Russell, Director of Planning. Is that correct?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. At this time, we're seeking council direction on how you'd like us to proceed with this request from the RDN. It will obviously impact workloads a little bit, and it kind of is sort of a question of the death by 1,000 cuts. Ultimately, we're looking for what is a priority for council with regards to the question at hand.
Thank you. Okay, what I would just lead off is that this has been forwarded to us from the RDN anyways to participate in this coastal preparedness planning project. So the workload is going to be considerable, as with everything else. You're looking for a approval from council to go along with it, but is there provisos as long as it doesn't reach, so many hours, or it doesn't have to be completed by the end of the year, or what does that look like?
We're basically asking if council would like to dedicate municipal resources to this project, or if it would prefer that those resources be used for other city projects. From our perspective, if it's really what's council's pleasure, we're more than happy to help assist the regional district with this if that's what council would like. It is taking resources a week or two away from other projects that the city is working on. So it would relegate some development files maybe being put aside, or other municipal initiatives. So we've been approached by staff. This is sort of an initial ask. The initial ask is that we dig through our old files, see if there's geotechnical reports that we can put together to assist them. I believe that those reports are intellectual property where we'll need to seek permission of the report authors before we pass it along. And then in the future, there will likely be additional asks, particularly when this goes to like a public consultation stage. So as I said, we're really just looking for your direction on if you'd like us to assist and participate with the RDN in this, or if you have other, if you'd like us to continue working on the other projects that we're working on at this time.
Right, I understand now the ask. I would suggest that at this particular time, that there's too many factors that are out where council has to have a discussion regarding the coastal preparedness planning project and what that looks like and what it's going to mean for the city of Parksville. With that, I would suggest that at this time, to get that further information, unless you have a whole ream of paper in a report that I didn't see here, on what that.
Yeah. So if I may, Mayor, so attached in the links or links to the terms of reference for the RDN's coastal preparedness project, and that outlines what they're looking to undertake as part of this project. I guess I should philosophically provide a bit of background on how the city does its due diligence. So on a property by property basis, development in the city has a professional that they are required to hire that does a geotechnical assessment if it's up a bluff, or they do a geotechnical assessment as well as a sea level rise assessment. And it's done on a site specific basis, both through the development permit process that council sees, as well as at the time of building permit, an additional geotechnical report is required at that time. So each property in Parksville has an assessment done. It's using whatever the current information that's publicly available to those qualified professionals, and they can use any scientifically based source. The regional district project is more of from my perspective, we're covered, I guess, from a safety perspective. We have site specific reports for every single property in town where development occurs. The RDN project is more of a sort of future looking lens on what long-term preparedness may or may not be necessary in the future as part of a more strategic, rather than on an individual property basis, a broader body of knowledge that would inform policymakers into the future. So it's more at a sort of higher level, I would say, than at the individual development level. And it comes with sort of pros and cons. It's not going to eliminate the necessity of doing individual assessments on properties, because that's a very specific matter that needs to take into account, the soil topography, et cetera. So it's more of a broader strategic thing. Like, is there an area somewhere along our coastline where, we need to raise the alarm bells that, protection might be needed or not? They're not trends that we're seeing in our professional reports that we're getting within Parksville on an individual case by case basis. And we certainly have had a lot of development along our coastal area in the city that we've got those reports, along the Parksville Bluff or with recent developments on the downtown waterfront. So it's not an urgent matter, but it's something that if it's sort of your darned if you do and darned if you don't participate. At some point, there will be public messaging on this project as the RDN, although it is a technical process, from my perspective, they often can do a lot of public consultation on items that are really a technical exercise. And so I anticipate that they will be doing that. So what we're happy to do whatever council wishes as a priority for council at this time. And it's so, anyways, that's, sorry for rambling.
Yes, I get that. And I understand a lot has to do with the messaging as well. Is under your comment, darned if we do, darned if we don't. If we don't participate, then it'll be widely acknowledged the fact that City of Parksville chose not to participate in this study. And that's just throwing it back on us as if we had, not recognizing what you've already suggested is the validity of your already geotech reports and so forth that are considered on a lot by lot basis regarding the waterfront or any water bearing streams as well, that we already have all those reports already in place individually, not looking at it from a global perspective. So the question is do we need to have a global perspective, participate in a global perspective study for the area, as well as the geotech references that we already make on every individual lot already. So it's just whether we're going to play with the RDN and to be part of this, or we're going to just run on our own. That's, I think, what I understand what we're getting at, which we are already, I believe, covering quite adequately, because I've seen some of those geotech studies on different waterfront properties. Councillor Gore.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you for staff for providing the background, and Mr. Russell. For providing your perspective as a planner as well. I want to start off with a very basic question about the professional reliance model that we have. And this question comes to me first as a member of public, and the skepticism we have, and also the other people that I've spoken to talking about these reports, whether it's the environmental reports that the developers come up with, or let's say in this case, the coastal floodplain mapping and whatnot. So can you speak to the current practice of this professional reliance that we use as a city and other jurisdictions use? I know that developers have the freedom to go to a professional of their choice, pay them the fee that they want, and have a report. I do trust the professionals, but at the same time, I believe that there is some undue influence where your payer is asking for something, a report that could very likely be in favor of their proposal to develop on a land that may be sensitive or in a floodplain. Thank you.
If I may, Mayor, through to Councillor Gore, it's a difficult question to answer, I think. If at the end of the day, professionals are responsible to their professional organization and the public to undertake their work in an ethical manner in accordance with their profession. If someone believes that work is being done unethically by a professional, their duty would seem to me to be to report it to that professional's organization so that the matter can be looked into and investigated by that professional organization where someone isn't following their professional practices. That's how that process works. The RDN in preparing this type of study will also be using professional reliance. They will be going out to a qualified engineering professional. It's also interesting that they're asking for all the reports that we have that were done by professionals to build this body of knowledge for this larger project that they're creating. So I'm satisfied with our professional reliance model. It's how things are done. It's how rockets are sent to the moon and how cars are certified. Does it mean that it's perfect 100%? It doesn't mean that. There is no 100% perfect process, but there are checks and balances in place, I believe, to address those concerns. And as I said, if someone is doing something professionally unethical, there is an avenue to pursue that through their professional organization.
Follow up, Councillor Gore.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. And I'm guessing this is the similar practice in other jurisdictions and other cities to have a similar professional alliance where the applicant would choose a professional of their choice rather than blindfolded giving the money to the city and the city choosing a professional who will come up with the report.
If I may, Mayor, through to Councillor Gore. So that it's fairly universal. And in fact, it was actually the province that in creating the original riparian areas and streamside protection process, the province used to do it. The province itself used to be the authority that would authorize works near a water channel, for example. It was the province that decided to switch to a professional reliance model. And within that model, they have guidelines that the professionals and best practices that the professionals need to follow in making their assessments. Yeah.
Any other questions? Councillor Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And maybe I'll just quickly note that I've heard similar questions in the community around professional reliance. But I could also speak to examples that we all could think of where the nefarious activities were not by a professional. They may be by someone, say, on a staff or whatever, and there can be very few implications for that when that happens. So there's no perfect system to your point there. I do have a question around, you raised the privacy concerns around sharing the information. Are you talking about the reports that would have been otherwise public, or are there other reports that are involved in that? And obviously that would add a lot of time to the process.
If I may, Mayor O'Brien, through to Councillor Grenz. So in professional reports, they will often have the full name of the author. They'll have their professional seal. So it's a matter of us redacting those off. They might name the property owners who's their client and their personal address or their mailing address. So we would redact those. Yeah.
Councillor Beal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through to Mr. Russell. Thank you very much for pulling us into your conundrum here. Darn. It really is a bit of a sticky wicket, if that's the right term there, because yes, if we have information at hand that serves us very well, serves our property owners very well, the buildings, et cetera. But it's also going to look, as the councillor, as the mayor pointed out, that, you know, Parksville is not playing. A couple of questions that do come to mind, though. Well, first of all, a comment when you were explaining that the RDN's project would be kind of a higher level, something a little more global, and, you know, perhaps looking at areas that need to be protected. What also came to my mind is a question as to whether it might also identify areas on land that could serve to help you know, in an environmentally ecological way, help the situation. And I'm thinking about areas that help store water, help hold water, et cetera. So I'm wondering if, you know, so I'm thinking, well, some of this sounds like it actually could be beneficial information for us, and something that might not show up when property owners are getting reports done for individual pieces of land. So I'm kind of wondering about that, but also, well, I guess I am wondering about that. So is my interpretation there correct, that they might also actually provide some information that could be useful to the city looking forward in terms of mitigating effects of climate change?
If I may, Mayor, through to Councillor Beal. It will end up ultimately being a public document that's available to the city, whether it participates in such a project or not. I anticipate that it'll yield sort of general policy ideas and directions, which, you know, we can read and see if they fit within our jurisdictional needs. So regardless of whether we participate or not, there certainly will be information available publicly that we can peruse and glean information from.
Go ahead, Councillor Beal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through to Mr. Russell. I don't suppose there's some way for us to just help just a little bit, or or is this something that they have to do right now? I guess that's what I'm wondering as well.
If I may, Mayor O'Brien, through to Councillor Beal, I did ask on March the 19th, so before the report, a week before the report was done, what their sort of expectations are, and I haven't heard back. So I don't totally know what they're anticipating. And I was particularly interested in how many meetings, these things usually have a request on a number of meetings per year. So I've estimated possibly 2 meetings a year, but I don't know the specifics on their timing on this.
Thank you, Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Blaine, for your efforts here and helping us understand. When I read all about this, I thought, our staff is pushed and we have so many other things that seem to be important. Simple thing like housing, if you're going to be delayed in doing some of the okaying of plans and pushed from pillar to post. It doesn't really wash for me, Then I thought, well, maybe we could have the RDN, if they wanted to put in their budget to help get some of this information out. I don't know if that is practical or is that realistic? So this way, you could help a little bit, but not, be taking away from all the other things you have to do. So that was just a thought. I just wondered what you thought about that idea. Thank you.
It's an interesting idea. I'm not sure. I'd have to sort of mull that over and.
Councillor Wood?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm definitely interested in this. We've seen, record wildfires, polar ice caps melting. We definitely see the effects of climate change. However, we've set our budget for this year. Our staff time is relatively set. I think it might be something that we could look at when the budget comes around next year, prior to deciding. If I were working for the province and it was my ministry to try to battle climate change as it comes, it would be nice if kind of the default would be to redact and submit documents to regional governments and to the provincial governments so that there's a repository of these documents that are already happening of these environmental reports. And that way it doesn't have to be, a regional government asking, hey, maybe we should get the reports that are already done out there. Maybe we should have them redacted. That seems like if that was my ministry, we should already be doing that. And that just gets folded into each time we are getting these reports from a specific development. But those are my thoughts. Thanks. Oh, sorry. One more point on the regional district. If the regional district was paying for this, then we still put up our hand, and it still comes from property taxes, and it would be, it would still be kind of service out depending on what the level is that Parksville staff needs to do. That's probably what would come under. The property tax requisition from the RDN. So, yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
I just want to weigh in what Councillor Wood has said as well. And I'll get back to you as well. I'll jump in here with a little bit of comment. Did this come with board directive requesting this from the RDN, or where did this come from?
If I may, Mayor, this is a staff to staff contact.
Okay, so the staff is reacting to a board directive that they need another report regarding coastal preparedness.
So city staff is reacting to a regional district staff request for assistance with their project.
Yes.
Regional district staff did take a report before the board and has board direction on this project.
Yes, okay, thank you. I'm not sure when that board direction came from. I don't recall it coming in our term, but there's been a lot of different reports requested. However, as of late, as of current breaking news, is the RDN board of directors anyways has recently been made aware of the fact that we're asking as directors, because Councillor Wood and myself are directors on the RDN, that we're asking for too many reports, quite frankly. And it was in reaction to a question from a member of the public, actually a group of the public anyways, coming to us as a delegation at the RDN saying, your administration costs are too high, your property taxes are too high, you've got to get it down, you've got to get control of this. And it came back and the staff are only doing what the board was asking them to do, which was create another report. So someone at the board level decided that coastal preparedness was a worthwhile effort to put out there, and they had it passed by the board. Now the staff just do exactly what they're asked to by the board. Now the staff has to increase their staff capacity by adding more staff, which is what happens at the RDN because they have so many reports to do. And I have to say that the reports done by the RDN are very thorough and very time consuming and very broad in their very existence. And the effect at the very end of it, I'm not sure sometimes, but at the same time, all that I know is that what they're asking is just another requisition of staff time to create a report for something that you have explained very well, Mr. Russell, that you are already handling it from a professional reliance model. on how we handle our waterways and so forth, for the request that the RDN has put through. So I'm not in support of participating in this myself. I feel that we don't have the staff capacity to do it. Every report comes at a cost. And that cost is sometimes some other project that we have already approved and budgeted for gets put off on the back burner. And that's not fair because we have already approved that. So in order to do this and maybe to come in with the timelines of what the RDN are perhaps hoping for, whether it's meetings or getting all those reports out to them, it's going to come at somebody's cost. So we're going to have to increase staff capacity and somehow, because I already know your workload. You're with the housing legislation that came out at the end of last year, just created an enormous amount of work for all of our departments here. So I recognize we're doing it. So I'm just saying the timing is extremely poor with this request. So I don't think that we have the capacity or the right or the mandate to increase taxation, because this is what it is, folks. We will have to increase taxation to our people anyways that are already suffering right now. For a report of marginal consequence for the city of Parksville, because we're already, I believe we're in very good hands with our professionals that work for us. So I will be supporting this, and I will take that to the next level when I have to, but that's just my opinion at this time. I'll go to Councillor Beal was next, and then Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I just wanted to pick up on something that Councillor Wood had said. My understanding is that this isn't something that's going to actually affect our budget right now. From what Mr. Russell was explaining, what it would mean is delaying some of the very important projects, no doubt, that are in front of the planning department, but that it would take some time away. So it would be staff time. It would not be an additional budget line or additional costs in that sense. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Councillor Martin.
I'm supportive of looking at it next year if that's satisfactory in our budget for 2025, like Councillor Wood said. Thank you. Other than that, I think we should not support it. Thank you.
To support not at this time. Right. Thank you. Councillor Gore.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Russell, my understanding is this is a multi-year project. And I think the consensus on the table is this is important information. And I think as a region, collaboration that we talk about all the time, and especially on emergency management, or whether it's climate change preparedness, I think it's an important initiative. In my opinion, I think we should participate in this, but I think the concern at this table I'm hearing is about the staff time. And in the report, it says about 1 week of staff time that may be directly involved. And since it's a multi-year project, as Councillor Martin mentioned, is it feasible for us perhaps to look at it in 2025? And have indicated to the RDN, yes, we are interested, but we will not have the staff capacity until 2025 to take this on. Is that something we can do?
If I may, Mayor, through to Councillor, we can certainly indicate that we're not in a position to participate in at this time, and that we're open to future participation, say in 2025, should the opportunity exist.
If I may, Mayor, a follow-up comment.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. The reason I say this, I think there is some useful information I anticipate will come out of this project that we perhaps can also absorb in our OCP as it comes for review, and have, I think, a very comprehensive OCP, including climate change and all those things that we want to have in our OCP. So I would like to participate in this when we have the staff, the capacity and the resources to support this. So if there is a motion to defer, like I will be able to support this, or whatever the motion would be to perhaps indicate to the RDN staff that we are interested, but perhaps in 2025.
Councillor Grants.
Thank you. So I agree with what's being said around the table here, and would propose an alternate resolution for consideration when the time comes.
And I think that time has come, Councillor Grants,
Okay,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
I'll read it out.
I was formulating one regarding what Mr. Russell just said anyways, regarding that we're not interested at this time, but something to that effect, but go ahead. Let's see what you captured here.
So yeah, I'm trying to recognize the importance that I think we all see in this. And personally, I would like to see, if it's possible to support it with some work plan time, but it put it basically at the bottom of the list, so to speak, which maybe that doesn't happen at all. But so that's where I would propose a resolution that the city of Parksville is supportive of the RDN's coastal preparedness planning project and the important work being done to prepare for impacts of climate change on our coastal areas. However, due to work plan commitments for 2024, this item will be included as a low priority over current planning application review processes and provincially required work.
I think, could you add a time? Like to say for 2025?
Yeah.
One year from now,
Yeah.
it will be reviewed again. Not that we will participate, that it will be reviewed again in 2025, something like that? Or, okay, I'm looking at the CAO, Kaler, for further refinement.
Thank you. Through the mayor, the timeframe does really help because as we've talked about, our budget and our work plan are intricately linked. And so we're already over capacity on all fronts. So an extra day, an extra week, an extra hour here and there, it won't get done this year. And so what we need is the priority of, is this something that you want to bump off something else on the list for 2024 to make this happen in 2025? And so I think where the motion was going is that this would be revisited with all the other priorities that council will have for 2025. We already have several items that were deferred this year to next year. And then I think it's fair to say that, you're supportive of the concept, but when you think about the resources that we have, we do not have an environmental planner. We don't fund that through taxation. We don't have a sustainability or even a long range planner. So the RDN has a very different resource budget than we do. And, it's very valuable to have that regional focus, but we can't always provide that capacity. And whether it's in kind, which it still costs, basically we have our 2024 hours of time allocated for each department, and there is no additional time at this point. And so if planning staff are having to spend a week or 2 weeks, or it's always more than you think, that means that people paying for applications in the city of Parksville or wanting to get building permits passed through for housing or for other priorities that are established get bumped. So that's where we're looking for that direction from council. If you say that you want staff to spend time in 2024 on this, that will be the outcome, is that we want that recognition of the priority from council of where you want us to spend the staff time. And so the challenge that we face is that all of these are great initiatives and very important initiatives, but our budget and our allocation of capacity doesn't allow you to put all of them at the same priority. So we have to pick what happens over something else.
Yes, and thank you for that. I think we have to take a definitive stand at this particular point. Thank you for the opportunity given at this time. At this time, we are unable to participate due to staff capacity overload. Okay, I would like to. No, it was never seconded. No. Okay, does that work for council? Okay, so I'm making that motion. Do I have a seconder?
What's the motion?
Sorry, if I may, I think I didn't hear the seconder, but I heard that we were going to amend your motion to be more clear with what the mayor was suggesting about nothing in 2024 is available, but in 2025, council will reassess based on the priorities and the staff capacity that you have, and if possible, would participate at a later date. That's kind of the gist of what I heard. But I don't think there was a seconder.
Is that okay with you? Yeah. Okay, that works. Okay, yeah. So that's exactly what you said. Okay, that's fine. Okay, seconded by Councillor Wood. Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. That is unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Russell. So, thank you. Put that aside. So the next report on the agenda is from the Emergency Program Coordinator, the 2024 UBCM Community Emergency Preparedness Fund Regional Evacuation Route Planning Grant Application to seek council approval for the Regional District of Nanaimo to apply on behalf of the City of Parksville for grant funding to support a regional approach to evacuation route planning. Do I have a mover and a seconder for the recommendation? That is moved by Councillor Beal, Councillor Wood. Thank you. Any discussion? Councillor Wood.
Thank you, Mayor. This seems like an opportunity for us to let the RDN know while we support this. It would be nice if the funding flowed through to the City of Parksville for any participation the City of Parksville has in the emergency preparedness planning.
You're suggesting a change to the recommendations as such?
Well, the motion reads that council approve the regional district of Nanaimo to apply for, receive, and manage grant funding, which I agree with. But if there are any asks of the City of Parksville, I'm not sure what the amendment would read, but it would be nice if this grant was received from the UBCM Community Emergency Preparedness Fund, that the City of Parksville had some cost recovery through that grant.
I hear what you're saying now. The CAO, Kaylor, if you could comment on what the results would be if successful with this grant, would there be flow through to the City of Parksville?
Thank you. Through the mayor. So my understanding of this is that the money is being pooled so that similar to the First Nation consultation emergency thing we brought forward, I think at the last council meeting, we are able to leverage additional funds and then not duplicate our resources in terms of consulting with the same people on the same thing. So the intent is that the regional district would take the lead on this project, hire a consultant to look at the appropriate evacuation planning, best practices and routes, identifying routes through our communities of, we obviously all connect. And they would engage the RCMP once instead of 3 different times. They would engage First Nations once instead of 3 different times, ambulance, emergency services. And so the money is actually going to be going to a consultant, but our staff would participate in terms of giving input on the important areas of the city or like, for example, if we had to evacuate because of the ammonia plant or something. So this will be all the staff in the emergency programs working with and feeding information to a consultant. And it would be better to do it this way than have Kate have to go and kind of duplicate that work. So I don't think it's kind of revenue coming back to us, but it's allowing the RDN to leverage all of our collective grant funding to do a more comprehensive regional approach. So I think we've done that on a couple of other things before, and the city has led it sometimes. The town of Qualicum Beach has led it other times, and we sort of try to take turns in being the administrator of the funds, I guess. But that's what this is seeking council support for, is really to let the RDN use our funding to do that bigger project as opposed to each of us doing it one by one.
Right. So this would in effect mean we don't have to apply for our own funding to UBCM. This is going to be a coordinated effort with the EMOs in the area in the RDN district.
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you. Okay, I think does that satisfy your request? Thank you. Okay, great. Any further discussion? All those in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. What? We're running out of any notices of motion at this time. Sure. Okay, as council liaison for the PDBA, Councilor Martin, do you have any notice of motion you'd like to put forward at this time?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's 3 different motions here. So do we want to put them all into one so that the notice is for the different, each one individually?
No.
Because there was 3 presentations. So we have to have all 3 in the notice of motion.
The
One
only,
motion with 3 asks?
the only thing that, sometimes the lights take a little longer to come on up here, due to LEDs and so forth. Instead of putting this as a notice of motion, how would we be prepared to entertain this motion today?
Are we allowed to?
So if I may,
Yes.
I have a suggestion that actually came from our chief financial officer. We have a meeting coming up, a committee of the whole meeting next Tuesday, I think, or Wednesday, next week. And that is for discussions around budget and work plan. And so it might be an appropriate time to discuss this. Committee of the whole is a little bit easier for council to have back and forth, and staff does have some information on the actual time and money costs that we anticipate would be needed. And then we could also get direction from council on the priority of that item. We have a couple of other things that perhaps could be postponed or delayed if council did want to direct staff to do this project. So we've talked a little bit about those options with some other projects, but that would give staff time to maybe do a quick slide for that discussion next week, and the motion could be maybe easier to put together when you have the numbers, the staff hours, and you could provide that as almost like an amendment to the work plan and budget for this year.
Okay, so that committee of the whole meeting is slated for next week, as I recall.
Mhm.
It's about 8th, is it? 8th? Thank you, Amanda. Yeah, for April 8th. Councilor Martin, would you be in agreement to holding off on making your motion at this time to actually hold off until have a more fulsome discussion at the committee of the whole on April 8th, whereby we have more facts and information from the staff, and maybe we could improve on the recommendation motions here that are in
Right.
front of us today. Are you
Sure,
in agreement with that?
That'll be good. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, I'll get you in a second. Okay, you're in agreement with that?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. Do we need notices of motion for, because committee of the whole usually just, it can take a motion that would be forwarded to the next council meeting.
Yes,
Correct?
that is correct.
Yeah.
So the committee of the whole would make a recommendation to
Right.
the next council meeting.
Yeah.
So it would actually wouldn't delay the item at all if it were coming as a notice today
Yeah,
and then
so-
going to the next one.
So that would, yeah, I was just trying to get it hurried along, so we had the approval of it. Okay. So you good with that, Councillor Martin?
The meeting, sorry, the committee of the whole, if I may, through the mayor, is Monday, the 8th, next Monday.
Right.
And then the following Monday, which is the council meeting on the 15th, then we would be able to do it then if we decided on the 8th.
So if I may, through the mayor, that would depend on the direction at the committee of the whole. So typically, the committee of the whole rises and reports and recommends items for decision at the council meeting.
Right.
So depending how much information comes to you at that meeting,
Mhm.
it would either be at the next regular scheduled council meeting, or we do also, I think, have a couple of other budget meetings coming up in the next few weeks. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the hope would be that it's through the committee, the whole meeting anyways, it would be, the recommended motion would be decided at that time by council, and then it would be included in the agenda at the next council meeting. That's the same, maybe even better than a notice of motion at this point, because it's more definitive, so maybe we can make it better. Okay, you're okay with that? Thank you. Okay, so we will just rush past the notice of motion unless there's any other notice of motions or anything else at this time. Okay, we'll move on to liaison reports. If we could move on to liaison reports, I would ask council members, Councillor Beal has provided notice of liaison reports. Councillor Beal, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And yes, I do have 3 reports from recent meetings that I've held with the my responsibilities as liaison. So first of all, I'd like to share some of the OCAC highlights. That's the Oceanside Community Arts Council. They've got new exhibits starting up, and the opening reception is this Saturday, April 6th, between 1 and 3 p.m. So if any council members or their families would like to attend, be very welcome. Also, the Aging Artfully program, which I hope everyone is aware of. It's a free program for seniors aged 75 plus, is wrapping up a bit later this month, and a couple of amazing volunteers have been coordinating that program over the winter and then again in the early spring. An exciting new project that's has just started now in collaboration with the school district. An OCAC member artist is working with students and staff at Pass Woodwinds Alternate School to create a mosaic mural. And that project, as I said, just started this week, and it will be finished in June and then will be kept at the school. It really should be amazing. The artist who is working with them is a very accomplished mosaic artist and also a retired teacher from both the secondary and post-secondary level. And she has traveled, studied extensively in Italy to learn about mosaics. And there was an amazing donation from a foundation in Vancouver to allow for this project to go ahead. Also, the community art garden at the MAC is going strong, maybe I should say growing strong, and they are hoping to install a large greenhouse in the near future. And I know Mr. Russell will be listening, and they are submitting a needed variance request. So I imagine that will be coming before us before too long. The OCAC Board of Directors is very active and involved, and for the betterment of the group, individuals have done coursework on grant writing and on taking a course on pathways to reconciliation, among other ongoing work. As far as the early learning and childcare Oceanside highlights, our council, you may recall, we received a letter requesting that our updated OCP include actions to support childcare. So I did explain and share with the group that this update is slated for the coming year. And that's why we're not taking any action on that right now. And it can be very challenging to collect an accurate current number of childcare spaces that are needed within a community. For instance, people who might be on a waiting list, they may have put their names down on the waiting list for more than one facility. And so it's hard to know how many spaces are actually needed. But ways to tackle this are planned for, and they're ongoing. Also, ELCO, that's the acronym for the Early Learning Childcare Oceanside. They now have a website. It's really quite good. It's still being developed, but with the website, they're also hoping that they'll be able to reach more childcare providers in the area and share information. And also they've got with that a software to manage surveys. And again, that will help them collect information about what's needed in our area. The survey is being developed to assist with a recruitment and retention project. And that's a huge and important issue for providing quality childcare spaces. If you don't have really fully qualified staff to provide the childcare, then again, we have parents with children who are waiting to get into spaces. That as far as the $10 a day spaces, there's no word on this for our area at the time of the meeting. There may have been some announcements more recently, but I haven't heard of any for right here. And childcare providers and families on waiting lists are urged to sign the petition for expansion of the $10 a day childcare. So hopefully some of that relief will be coming for parents. I've also attended meetings with the Chamber of Commerce, and here are some of those highlights. The Chamber is holding their AGM Thursday, April 25th. And again, council members are all welcome to and invited to attend. We'll be at the Beach Club, I believe. I believe an invitation will be going out later in this week. The Chamber attended a joint chamber meeting with the Qualicum Beach Chamber. It was well attended. I'm sorry, but I was not able to attend, but I hear it went very well. There's been some turnover with the board of directors. And so at present, there is an interim president. Megan Walker was here at a meeting not too long ago. She's taking that role at the moment. And recruitment is going very well with that. There's plans for a golf tournament in May to be held at Fairwinds. And they do have 2 VIU interns working there, and they're midway through their internship. And apparently that's also going very, very well. And they're looking forward to having further additional interns in the future. And the Visitors Center has seen an increase in visitors in the last 6 weeks in particular. Many of these, there's been about 500 or so since the start of the year. And of course, it's quite quiet for a little bit of that time. But many are inquiring about possibly moving to the area. We haven't been hit as hard with with wildfires in some areas of the province. And so people are considering that when they come to our area. Also, a number of snowbirds who spend the winters here stop in at the visitor center, and apparently a number of them are returning visitors. Approximately 60% of the visitor information booklets, the tourist information, have gone out or have been distributed to different locations. And also the staff at the visitor center are aware of some maintenance issues at the center, and they're trying to get to these in their spring and summer work plans as time and budget allow. And if anyone has any questions about any of that, I'm here.
Thank you so much. Councillor Martin.
Yes, I was negligent to not put that on the list. And I don't have a question for Mary. It's to do with the Brant Festival and Mabry taking it over. This week it started and it goes all month, the Brant Festival. And now Nature's Trust is passing it on to Mount Arrowsmith Biosphere. So that's happening this week, and Nature Trust had it for 18 years. So now what's going to do is Mabry is getting more involved in the community and the schools, and they've got an office coming up, which I didn't want to announce till it was confirmed. But this is happening this week. So I think that it was worth mentioning. And there's a transition gathering happening. It was in the newspaper on Friday at 6 o'clock at the Bayside with that transition happening officially. So
They call it the liftoff.
it's the liftoff. You going to be there?
No, that's what the brand festival. It's the liftoff celebration. Yeah, anyhow, that was the brand. I won't make the noise. Eagle, thank you. Councillor Gore.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just a quick update on AOA. Access Oceanside had their annual AGM last week. I was pleased to attend. However, I could not stay for the entire duration because of my work commitments. As council is aware, they are a very strong body of individuals, volunteers who are advocating for accessible city areas, and including the Parksville Beach, big hot topic for accessibility. But again, I just wanted to thank AOA for all their work and advocacy they are doing in City of Parksville, as well as Oceanside in general. Thank you.
Yeah. It was just brought to my attention, Mr. Mayor. One more announcement.
Councillor Martin, go ahead.
Yes. On Saturday, the PDBA and the Brant will be Mabry now are having a festival on the Plaza, and it's in the newspaper too. Saturday afternoon, right? 11 till 2. Yeah, family gathering. So that'll be great.
Thank you.
Amongst their other 40 gatherings this year. Very busy.
Thank you for
Thank
that,
you.
Councillor Martin. You? Okay, so do I have a mover and a seconder for the recommendation that pursuant to section 91 D, E, G, and K of the community charter, the council proceed to a closed meeting to consider items relating to security of the property of the municipality, the acquisition, disposition, or expropriation of land or improvements, litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality, and negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service. Have a mover seconder. Moved by Councillor Grens, seconded by Councillor Beal. All those in favor? Opposed?